This is Sunday's daf. Says the Gemara, Yiboilu. Another question. Mahu lekadish yoda v'raglo v'kir. Can you place your hands in the kir? That should be good enough. Or do you have to wash, have the spigot open and pour water on your hand? And the question is, mi menu amarachman. If you look at the Torah, it says that we should, Aaron and Banav should wash the hands mi menu from it. So it sounds like mi menu not place your hand inside it. It doesn't really matter. The Torah is telling you how it's done, but it's not ma'akev. Come in here. We had before it said, Oi shetaval b'mei myra. If he toivel, we had this before. If a person then immersed themselves in the mikveh, we're talking about a kohen who didn't wash his hands and things. So we said in the base of he realized he didn't wash his hands. He can use any clay shadas. But if he did not, if he washed the clay shadas outside, or if he used an ordinary keli inside, or he went to the mikveh in this May Myra, in a cave, the water proper mikveh, the avad avedasa psula is avoided possible. So the problem is that he immersed inside a mikveh. Ha may kir doing the Myra, but had he immersed, put his hands in a kir, which is similar to a Myra, but he used the kir itself. The avad avid, and he worked in the base minute, seems to have avoided seder. So it clears from here that what? Because we're making this inference from the May Myra. The May Myra is no good immersing, but in a kir immersing would be good enough. Says Gemara, no, maybe it makes no difference. Immersing is never good. So why do we say immersing in a Meimara? Wouldn't it be a bigger chiddush to say if you put your hands inside the key, it doesn't work? No. Meimara is a chiddush. A mikveh has the capacity to be your entire body becomes tummy. Here we only have to wash your hands and feet. So what do you think is stronger? Of course, a mikveh is stronger. So it's a chiddush to tell you that it doesn't work. Where you need a mikveh obviously is very effective, but where you need your dying with a guy, a mikveh is not effective. And according to some of the Shani, we're talking about that you actually went entire body into the mikveh, and still it doesn't work for your dying with a guy. So we have no proof one way or another. Rabbi says now we have an interesting machlekes between Rabbi Bar Yosef and Rabbi Yechon. We're talking about the water of the kiyar. If the water, it's a clay sharas, if it's overnight, it's no longer good. It's possible because it's lina. It stayed overnight. So he said like this: the different activities in the Beis Hamikdash. You had some activities which are night activities, like burning the fats on the mizbech, and the kohen had to wash any activity you did in the Beis Hamikdash. You had to wash your hands, and then you had day activities, bringing all the kabbanas. So Rabbi Yezer says that the kiyar, it depends which avodah you're washing for. There will be a question whether there's lina or not. Says the as follows: that the water of the kiyar nifsalin will become possible depending on which avodah is. Lim matidin, if the avodah that you want is matidin are sprinkling the blood, things which enable you to become a kapara, and all that's called matidin. Burning the fats on the mizbech is not ma'akev. If you don't have any fats, the carbon is still a valid carbon. It's not called matidin. Matidin are the day activities. So the day activities, if you want to use the kir for the day activities, you cannot let it stay into the night. Because what happens with the blood itself? If you sprinkle the blood on mizbech at nighttime, after shkia, we'll learn it's no good. That's why mincha, have to finish by shkia, according to some. According to others, says but in the night you can't do it. So since you cannot do it in the night, so the water of the kir, if it was not down this with this pulley system, it was sitting above. As far as the material is concerned, there was lina, and you cannot use this water. So right now the Gemara is learning. Remember, yesterday's Gemara, we didn't resolve what happens to the water of the kir. Now we're learning as if the water of the kir does become possible. But he says it depends for which activity. For day activities, it becomes possible if it stays into the night. And le'evadim, and for the night activities, which is burning the limbs, is kevadim. It doesn't matter the night. But it has to be the night activities finish in the morning. It has to be right before the morning. You have to make sure it's no longer any lina. You lower it into the ground. Rab Chizah says makes no difference what activity it is. It's always the morning that matters. The matidin ein of Solomon Shachar. You can leave it into the night, and you can use that water the following day for day activities. There's no the water only becomes possible if you allowed it to go from one day to the next day, which happens by Amud Shachar. If you did not connect it to the underground water and you let it sit there in the kier above ground into the morning, into dawn, then it becomes possible. That's the view of Rabbi Chizda. Rabbi Yechanan says, kier, the kier, kivan sheshaku. Once you put the bird in the beginning of the night or right before dark, you lowered it right before shkir. Kivan sheshaku shuv eimaleyu. You're not allowed to bring it up anymore. You got to leave it there till the following day. So now the Gemara is going to try to understand Rabbi Yechanan. Who does he follow? Is he a third opinion? Is he following Rabbi Yosef? It sounds like it's a third opinion because he's saying no. But he's adding, once you put it down, you can't lift it up again. What's he trying to say? Says the Gemara, sounds like from here, that even if you need to work that night, you cannot lift the barrel anymore. Once you put it down before Shkia, you must leave it there overnight. And you cannot use that barrel to lift it up to wash your hands for the night activity. And so Gemara explains. Remember, it seems to me, it seems to me that he's arguing, Rabbi Chizda holds there's no problem to use it day and night. The main thing is you have to make sure that before morning, a minute before dawn, you lower it down to the bottom. So no problem at all. According to Rabbi Yosef, it's a problem for the day activities if the water sat there at night. But as far as the night activity is concerned, no problem. And Rabbi Yechanan seems to say you got to put it under the ground before Shkia and leave it there all night because you cannot even use it for night activities. It's the third opinion. That's what it seems like. My question is, says the Gemara, Rabbi Asi himself said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Mash made the ilfo. Here we have ilfo again. A kier. If you did not place it under the ground, shaku means you didn't immerse it under the ground, with the spring water, didn't connect it. Is mekadish mimena, you can use it lavodas laila. You can use it for night activities. In other words, for the limbs, because that's valid at night. Or b'lamacher eina mekadish. But the following day, you cannot be mekadish. Now it sounds like from here. So it sounds like clearly that you could use it at night. Why does Rabbi Yechanan say before that once you put it bashkei, you shouldn't raise it again? So it's clear from here that why not? You can raise it so you can wash your hands to work in your night activities. Says when he said you don't lift it, he was talking about don't use it if you want to lift it to prepare for the night. If you want to use this water for day activities, you cannot lift it because any time of the night day activity is forbidden. So you cannot use this water if it was lina at night. I don't care what time of the night it was. You can no longer use it to wash for day activities because it was lina. It's possible because you cannot do any day activity at night. But surely you can lift it if you want to use it for the night. In other words, it's identical to the view of Rabbi Yosef, who said it depends what activity you want to use it for, whether it's possible lina or not. Is not the same view of Rabbi Yosef. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you, he's very different. You know why? Because he holds Zaydas Shikua. In other words, he does hold Rabbi Yosef that if you lifted it at night, you can use it for night activity. But he holds you shouldn't lift it at night for a different reason altogether. Because we are goizer, if you're going to lift it at night, there are many kinds of work in the base of Mikdash. If you're going to lift it, leave it out at night, expose it at night, and use it for night activities, they're going to forget and not put it back down right before morning. So I'm worried, I'm worried they're going to forget to put it in the ground. So in principle, I agree with Chiyah Yosef, but what I disagree with him is I'm going to make it usher anyway to lift it even for using it for night activities because we're scared you're not going to put it back in the ground. Zayda Shikua. That's what I'm scared of. So the Gemara. The Gemara Rabbi Yechanan have a problem that Rabbi Yechanan himself said.
How did they wash then for avodas laila? I don't understand. They couldn't use the kiyar then to wash.
They washed before they started the night activity, or they used clay sharis. We learned just before yesterday's Gemara that you don't have to have the kiyar. You can use any clay sharis. So they use the clay sharis water just for the night activity. They wouldn't use it again for the next day. It's only the kiyar that had to be used every day. We're worried. So the Gezerah Shakua is only on the kiyar. So that's what they would use, other clay sharis.
Okay.
So the Gemara, Rabbi Yechanan said that Kiddush Yodav L'Trumas Hadeshen. Rabbi Yechon said, if they wash their hands for Trumas Hadeshen, which is early morning, right? This is before dawn. Lemachar, after dawn, ain't tzarich lekaddish. You don't have to wash again. Why? Shekvar kiddush mitchilas avodah, because you're already the starting of the day. Now, who is the author? Remember, we had an argument of Baya and Rava. Who is Rabbi Yechon saying this according to? So, B'Yishleima, according to Rava, he says that this follows Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon. This follows Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, that says that what? That you can do it even 10 days later. Rabbi Yechon didn't like Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, that from one day completely to the next day, but I'll agree with him that if it's the morning prior to dawn, okay, even though it's technically a different day, I will allow that. So then, who says over here that you cannot use it for the next day? This is Rebbe. This follows Rebbe. He says every day it's a new day. It's a new dawn every day, and therefore this follows Rebbe that says, I don't want you to work with it at night, even though technically you can. I'm scared that you're not going to put it back under the ground before the morning because you have to put it under the ground. Remember, Rebbe holds you have to put it on the ground. El Abaya, according to Baya, the Mukim Rebbe, according to Baya, that says that what? Even Rebbe holds that you can wash your hands already first thing in the morning. So that what? You can wash hands first thing in the morning. Is kasha the Rebbe? Rebbe the Rebbe is a question from Rebbe the Rebbe. Why? Ma'ishna Hasan the Mashakele. So how come over there we say just put it? We said before, according to Rebbe, all you have to do is put it in the ground right before dawn. Why over here we suddenly were so worried, and we say no, you can't do that because you might forget to put it in the ground. So Gemara says the Masalik Leva, you're right. But we say that you take it out and you put it right back in again. That after, when we said over here that you're worried about they're not going to put it back in, and yet here we say clearly you can wash your hands in the morning through Misadeshin, and that's it, and move on. But what about we're worried that you just said that at night we don't want you to use the barrel to wash the hands of the kohenim because you're going to forget to put it in a minute before dawn. And all the new kohenim coming to work, they need the new day. And yet here he said clearly that you can take the kir and wash the hands for the person doing Trumas Hadeshin, even though it's a different day. What do you mean? But it's not going to be in the ground when it comes to dawn. You have a problem. So the Gemara answers, the misalik le. Nobody said that you leave it out. We're saying that you can wash your hands of the kohen and then put it right back in. And we're not worried you're going to forget because you had to take the barrel from underground to wash the kohen. So you know why it's there. So you can put it back in. But if you leave it out at night, exposed for a few hours, and kohen come one after another washing, they're going to forget to put it back under the ground. Says the Gemara, if so, when you say that what? That the next day, it means ein tzarich lekadish. Now what? According to Rabbi Yechon, it says that at night it doesn't. He said at night it doesn't puzzle, and tomorrow you don't have to be mekadesh. That tomorrow, that's exactly what Rabbi Chizda said. Rabbi Chizda said that you can use. I don't care. You can use it for night activities. You can do it for day activities. All night long doesn't matter. Every day is a new day. Well, that's exactly Rabbi Chizda's opinion. So what's the difference between Rabbi Chizda and Rabbi Yechon? So again, the Gemara said the difference is very simple. That it's suitable for the people, that it seems like it's good for the night activities and for the day activities. It's all good. That's why you have to put it back. That's why you're saying the only reason why you have to put it back in, we don't want you to take it at night, is because we're scared. We're scared that you're going to forget to put it back in. Well, that's exactly like Rabbi Chizda. I mean, technically, you can really use it. Is Hainu de Rabbi Chizda is exactly Rabbi Chizda, that you can use this water for night activities, day activities, and the only reason why Rabbi Yechon said I want you to put it away for the night is because I'm scared, not because like Rabbi Yosef, I'm just scared that you're going to forget to put it back in the underground a minute before dawn. That means in theory, you hold like Rabbi Chizda, that this water can be used whether for day activities or night activities. Says anybody, you're right, but Ika Benai is still different. Whether mitzvah shikua, whether there's a mitzvah where at night you should have it under the ground because we're scared that people might forget. Rabbi Chizda is not worried, and Rabbi Yechon it is. So basically, I'll have you a question. Says the Gemara, Loi hayorayin oisa. We just learned before the kohenim over there working did not see the kohen doing the what do you call the Turmas Hadeshin. But like Shaimin as Kaili, they couldn't hear him. Shaimin Koil Shal Eitz. They heard actually the pulley system making noises. And that's when they knew that something was happening and they started getting ready and getting frantic and preparing themselves for the next day. So also Ben Kotin Muchni Likir, he made this pulley system for the Kir, the Hain Oimrim, and they would then shout, Oh, Higia Eis Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim Minakir. It sounds like a what? That it's now the time of washing our hands with a kir. What are we talking about? They heard, we're talking about it here, that it was under the ground and they lifted it. Alma Mishakele. How can you say, like, for example, Chizda say, that they only put it under the ground a minute before dawn? That's what he said. We're not, during the night, it's no problem. It doesn't come puzzle to do day activities. And we don't want the next day to become puzzle. So a minute before dawn, they will put it under the ground. Here we're talking about Trumas Hadeshin. Trumas Hadeshin was a long time before. So, and it says over here that they made noises. My love, the Misalikle, it sounds like that it was already under the ground and he had to lift it, and that's where the noises came from. It's a question of chizah, because you said they didn't put it on the ground till a minute before dawn. It's clear they put it on the ground hours before, maybe the whole night, like Rabbi Yechon. Alma Mishakele, doesn't that prove that Rabbi Yechon is right? They had it under the ground. Says Gemara, no. The Mishakele, the noises you heard was not lifting the kir, was actually after the kohen washed his hands to do Trumas, they were lowering the kir. They were already lowering it for the day, a few minutes before dawn. That's when they were lowering it. So the Gemara thought that when they lowered it, they didn't have the pulley system, they didn't have the wheels and all that noise. They just had a few ropes. Because lowering is no problem. Even though it was heavy, they just lowered it. It's only when you had to lift it that you needed all these wheels and all these noises. So Gemara says, if they were lowering it, what noises? Says the Gemara, Mishakele begilgula. They actually lowered it, also lowering it. They had wheels, like a pulley system, even for lowering. And the purpose was to make noises, so that the kohen should know it's time to get ready. So therefore, according to Chizah, all night long, the kir was above the ground. It was only after the kohen washed his hands for Trumas Hadeshin, and he would now lower it, and make a lot of noise, so the other kohen would be aware it's time to start getting ready. Another version is the Mishakele, he loaded b'chumraser. Chumraser means the same thing, wheels. I'm not sure what the Lishnach is saying differently than the first Lashon, because they both mean there was noises, because there's a pulley system, even to lower it. The purpose was to make noise. They should all hear and come. So the Gemara, why do you need to make noises? You tell me the only reason why they put these wheels on to lower them, that they also use these wheels to lower the kir and make a lot of noise. There was a coin called Gvina that Kukuruz, that he had an unbelievable voice, and he was so loud that he can shout from the base of Migdash, and they would hear it all the way in Yericho, 12 kilometers away. So what do they need the pulley system to make noises? You tell me that they lowered it and that was the noise, right? You're not learning like a Bechon that they lifted it. So the Gemara today they made two signs. The Shama Mahayasi. He, even though he was very loud, but he was facing the direction of Yericho, so those in that direction were able to hear him, not necessarily the other side. And for the other side, they had the noises of the kir moving up and down, and that's what they heard. Okay, we'll stop over here. We'll continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. Okay,